Hi, my name is Darren House. I'm a solutions architect for AWS, and I'm here to talk to you about the great announcements from re:Invent regarding security, compliance, and identity. As we move through this presentation, I'm going to keep going back to the fact that security is job zero at AWS, and that we are relentlessly focused on delivering innovation for our customers and on behalf of our customers. And what this has resulted in is a broad security portfolio of solutions that are aligned to public sector needs. Now, if you're like me, during re:Invent, you were going to the What's New page and you were clicking that thing all the time to refresh what was happening to see what's going on. And now you can go through and categorize or filter it on security and compliance. And if you did, you'd have seen what you see here. But what you'll realize is that there were a number of security-related announcements right before, during, and after re:Invent that were focused in different categories, but we're going to talk about them here as well because they have a very strong relationship to security in your organization. So as we talk about innovating on behalf of our customers, we had 1,800 or 1,800 plus updates for the services this year in 2018. Out of those 1,800, 238 of those were security-related. So to put that into some context, there's approximately 261 working days in a year. On average, 1.1 working days. Every 1.1 working days, AWS released a new security update. That's a pretty good pace. And if you take another perspective on that, we had approximately 125 services that were available in 2018. Out of those 1,800, that means that 7% would be the average across the board. Well, 13% of those were for security updates. That's double the average. So this combination of security being job zero and our relentless focus to innovate on your behalf leads to a broad security portfolio that's aligned to public sector. And when you talk about public sector security, you also have to consider the Cybersecurity Framework. And what that is a framework of standards and guidelines and best practices that help manage cybersecurity-related risk. The Cybersecurity Framework consists of 5 pillars, as you see on this: identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. And now I understand that not everybody here watching this video is U.S. federal public sector. There could be state and local, there could be international organizations here. So you might be wondering, why does this matter to you? Well, the fact is that the Cybersecurity Framework was designed to be a global framework that's used across the United States and used internationally. For example, Italy and the UK have used the Cybersecurity Framework to adopt and help align best practices between countries. The Cybersecurity Framework, it consolidates the best practices that are used in industry, and that's why a lot of people use a Cybersecurity Framework. So for the rest of this presentation, all the announcements that we're going to be talking about are going to be aligned to how the Cybersecurity Framework is and how it works within your organizations. And lastly, before we get into the announcements, you can't talk about security in AWS without talking about the shared responsibility model. So what you see here is, we're going to go through this quickly to set a baseline, but what you see here is the gray line is the key thing that you need to watch for. This is where the demarcation of areas of responsibility. Below that gray line is what AWS is responsible for, where we are responsible for the security of the cloud. And above that gray line is where the customer is responsible of the security that they put into the cloud. So the key thing that you need to understand is that you realize a benefit by moving up the stack with the security responsibility model. You get reduced costs from undifferentiated heavy lifting and operations and maintenance by moving up that stack, and you can inherit our security controls that you can apply to your auditing needs so that you don't have to do that work. So what you see here now is the container services, and you can see that that gray line has moved up, and that white box with the list of responsibilities for the customer has decreased. And so the key thing to understand here is that as you move up the stack, you decrease your responsibilities, and AWS takes more responsibility for securing the environment. And the perfect example is the Relational Database Service, RDS, from AWS. You could use a SQL Server on an EC2 instance where you would be responsible for a lot more of the security of that, including the patching of the operating system. In RDS, which is a container-based service, you are not responsible for patching the operating system. AWS takes care of that for you. And now as we move up to the top layer, the abstract services, that gray line has gotten really high up there, and the box that identifies responsibilities that you have is really small. And the key thing here is that AWS can manage most of the security and compliance for you so you can focus on your mission. Again, the shared responsibility model is there to help you, and the more you move up the stack, the greater value you get from AWS. Okay, so now let's dive into the announcements. And the first one comes from the Inspector service, and it's the agentless network assessments capability, where you can use network reachability rules package in Inspector to be able to identify ports and services that are accessible outside of your VPC. So it allows you to analyze the network configurations of your AWS services like security groups, access control lists, route tables, and a number of other things to identify where the issues are, and it can provide findings that show the accessible ports and the configurations that made those ports accessible. So this is part of the AWS Provable Security Initiative, which is a suite of AWS technologies that uses what we call automated reasoning. And this fits within the identify area of the cybersecurity framework because it provides the identification of cyber risks within your environment. So the next is Control Tower, which automates the setup of well-architected multi-account environments, what we had called landing zones, and it does it with the best practices that AWS provides. And it can guide you through a step-by-step process to customize it to your organization. Now, Control Tower fits within the Identify because it provides dashboards for continuous visibility into your environment, and you can view the number of organizational units or accounts that are in your environment. You can identify the guardrails that are enabled, and you can even see in the dashboard the compliance status of the guardrails that are enabled. It also provides protection from the cybersecurity framework perspective in that it provides curated guardrails, which are high-level rules that provide ongoing governance for your overall AWS environment, and this can provide protection for your overall environment. Next, we go to AWS Resource Access Manager. Now, customers have told us that they've created a whole bunch of different accounts and for billing isolation, for governance, and for security, following best practices. But now they would like the ability to share those resources within their environments to simplify how they deliver those environments, to make the account structures easier and reduce the redundant resources that are needed. So an example of this would be how it supports shared subnets. What that means for you is that you can have multiple EC2 instances. Each one of those can be from a different account with a different billing structure, different security structure, and they can all be within the same shared subnet communicating together. And this provides some great protection for you in that it protects you by limiting that blast radius while keeping the design flexibility that you need within your VPC environment. S3 Object Lock. This is a feature that prevents data from being changed or deleted in your environment, and it's primarily there to help ensure data integrity and security compliance. So it makes the management of your long-term retention much, much easier. It comes within two different modes. One is compliance mode and one is governance mode. The compliance mode is this is the real deal, that if you say this data cannot be deleted for 7 years, you can't delete it, even if you're the root account. So you need to be very careful about how you use that. The other one is governance mode, where it's more for data protection, and that you can change those policies if you're the root account, but it makes it so you can lock and provide a write once, read many environment. The next one is Client VPN. This is a managed service that secures access to your VPC environment. You can access any resource from any location, on-premise, in the cloud, VPC peers, AWS services, and it provides protection from the cybersecurity framework perspective in that it provides TLS connections to any location, and it uses OpenVPN clients, and it supports TCP and UDP protocols. It provides client authentication using Active Directory and certificate-based authentication, which supports Amazon ACM, our certificate management service. And it also supports multi-factor authentication. Next is our custom Keystore from KMS. So KMS is integrated with Cloud HSM, or hardware security modules, so that you can create a dedicated FIPS 140-2 level 3 overall compliant single tenant key store within KMS. So you can generate your KMS customer master key, and then you can store them in a key store that's created by a Cloud HSM in a Cloud HSM cluster that you manage independently from KMS. So this provides protection for you because it delivers the isolation and control that you need from a dedicated Cloud HSM with the ease of use and widespread integration that you can get with KMS. It increases the level of control for the encryption keys to protect your data across AWS, and it helps you meet those mandates of using keys from hardware security modules that are under your control. SSM Distributor. This securely stores and distributes software packages in your accounts. And Distributor integrates with the existing Systems Manager capabilities, and it provides support for in the cloud and on-premise, and that's a key thing for you. So it can provide protection for you because it's a central location to manage your software distribution in the cloud and on-premise. And how you manage that has a major impact on how you provide security to your organization and an impact on your security posture overall. Next is the tags on principals. So this enables you to add tags to your IAM users and roles, which are essentially called principals. You can add customized key value tags to resources that provide better resource management for yourself. This provides protection for you because it simplifies the permissions management at scale by using attribute-based access control. You can author a single policy to grant access to individual resources, and then you don't have to change that policy as the resources grow because they have those tags that you have the policies associated with. So next is Transit Gateway. This is a service that allows customers to interconnect thousands of VPCs in their environment. And you might be asking, why are we talking about this? This is a networking thing, so why are we talking about this in a security environment? And the reason is because simplification is a key strategy for cybersecurity, because we know that increased complexity also increases the risk to your organization. So with the Transit Gateway, you can simplify your network and you can provide isolation as well. And that's how you get the protection side of Transit Gateway, because you can create isolated networks and route domains and control the interconnectivity between them through policy. You can provide detection capabilities as well because Transit Gateway supports VPC flow logs. So when you create a Transit Gateway, it puts an ENI into a subnet that you choose, and that ENI can get VPC flow log information, essentially net flow data, that you have the ability to do analysis for and do querying on in CloudWatch to identify and detect potential issues. Next, we have CloudWatch Logs Insights. And this is a fully integrated, interactive, pay-as-you-go log analytics service in CloudWatch. All right, it enables you to explore, analyze, and visualize your logs in real time. It provides detection capabilities because it enables the timely discovery of cybersecurity events. A lot of times customers mention when managing large fleets of instances, they need a better way and a less expensive way to analyze their log data. Well, CloudWatch Logs Insight is a primary use case for log diving, and log diving provides a lot of great information about what's happening in your environment and can support operational issues, but it also helps identify security-related events. Next, we have Amazon GuardDuty, which is a managed threat detection service that monitors for malicious and unauthorized activity in your accounts. And we provide some notifications for new findings, which you can proactively sign up to an SNS topic to get an email to learn about new finding types in GuardDuty, so you know ahead of time the different things that you can get covered for. We have some new threat detections that were announced, primarily around Tor networks and about cryptocurrency mining. And we also have some customization of the repeatable findings. Previously, once you had a finding that was repeated, it would only alert you in CloudWatch every 6 hours. Now we've changed that so you can have alerts 15 minutes, 1 hour, and 6 hours. So it gives you some more granularity in your alerting. And this provides detection for you through the GuardDuty capabilities. Next, we have AWS Security Hub, which was a big announcement for the security side in Amazon. It provides a central location to understand and visualize your security environment, and it evaluates compliance against regulatory frameworks. You can collect and process your data and your findings from multiple accounts in multiple regions, and then you can prioritize those findings through groupings and correlations and insights. And this provides detection capabilities for you because it collects and aggregates these findings from GuardDuty, from Macy, from Inspector. It can also get information from third-party tools. One of the key things about Security Hub that we created was a standard security findings format. So all third-party vendors have agreed to align with that finding format to increase the integration with third-party and with AWS services. So that provides a great way to get additional visibility into your environment. In addition, because it integrates with CloudWatch events, it has great capabilities for response as well in the Cybersecurity Framework. And here's a list of, at launch, the 29 partner integrations through 24 different partners that we announced. And many of these are well-known partners that you have in your environment today. All of them have aligned with the security findings format, as I mentioned, and you can expect this number to grow. Next, we have CloudFormation drift detection. And what this does is it can detect if configuration changes were made to your stack outside of the CloudFormation template that you used. Drift can be defined as the difference between the expected configuration values that you put in your CloudFormation template and the actual values of your resources. So this allows you to better manage those CloudFormation templates and the drift between what you have and what you thought you had. It provides great detection capabilities because it allows you to detect those changes in configurations that are out of compliance. And it provides the ability to do responsiveness because it uses AWS config for detections, which can easily integrate with CloudWatch events to provide responses. Next, we have the config multi-account, multi-region aggregation capability. So config can continuously monitor and record your AWS resource configurations, and it enables you to automate the evaluation of those recorded configurations against a desired baseline. So now you can aggregate all those across accounts and across regions into a centralized place that works really well for the AWS best practice of having a centralized security account. This helps you to reduce the time and overhead needed to centralize your environment to get a good enterprise-wide view of your resources and the AWS config compliance status that you have. It provides detection capabilities because config continuously monitors the changes and provides near real-time detection out of the box. You can respond because, guess what? Config integrates with CloudWatch events, and CloudWatch events is a great mechanism to provide responsive capabilities. And last, you can recover because there's mechanisms in config that help you remediate unauthorized changes so you can recover those changes and get back into compliance. Now, the last service announcement that I have for today is Systems Manager with Multi-Account, MultiRegion. And this is intended to simplify your workloads by centralizing and centrally viewing, storing, and exporting all of your data from all your accounts into a single console. And this is a very powerful capability from a security perspective, as I mentioned before, with this centralized security account design. It reduces the time and overhead that's required for enterprise-wide configuration and remediation. It provides identification capabilities because just by having the SSM agent running on your EC2 instance, either in the cloud or on-premise, you now have an asset inventory right there. You can go to the SSM page, go to inventory, and all your assets are there available. So you have asset inventory, which is identification. It provides detection capabilities through SSM baselines and compliance reports that you can use to detect when you're out of compliance in that baseline. It provides responsive capabilities and multi-account, multi-region capabilities through SSM run commands and automations that you can respond to events that are happening in your environment. And finally, it provides the capability for recovery, also through run commands and automations and Systems Manager, Patch Manager, where you can patch instances, for example, that are out of compliance and recover to the state that you need to be in. So we've covered a lot. The next thing here, I just want to make sure that everybody is aware of the AWS Reinforce conference that's going to be happening this summer in Boston. It's the first ever conference for AWS that's dedicated to security. And it offers a deep dive into the latest approaches for security and the best practices for risk management. So I highly encourage you to look at this and register. Next, we have a big list of reInvent videos that are online that you can look at from the security side. This is a list of some of them. It's not an exhaustive list. There is a very big list out there, so I encourage you to go look through those and find ones that are relevant to you. Lastly, we have a lot of information on our security website for resources and security blogs, so I recommend that you go look at those. There's usually lots of information that's very relevant to our customers today. And the last thing I just want you to remember is that security is job zero at AWS, that we are relentlessly focused on helping innovate on behalf of our customers. And this has led to a large security portfolio of solutions that are aligned to the public sector. So I encourage you to reach out to your account teams and schedule some deep dives for these and see how they can improve your security posture.